We are live.
The data bits are going out. Maybe the social medias will follow in suit. Who knows? All these things do take place on Wednesdays. It is a 4060 day when all the 4060 reviews come out. It's always interesting, you know, because you never know exactly when the embargo is. For like hardware reviews. Then you get up at that morning and you just see like the list of the same thing, and I'm like, I'm not going to watch all of these. Maybe I'll watch a couple of them. Let's see. What do we want to write for social media? I don't know. Here, I'll just steal Jill's.
Okay.
Let's see. Live. Seconds. There we go. We do that tweet. Then we do Twitch. And we don't do that. Then we put that there. Live for Wednesday. There we go. Hey, we got it done. Social medias have been ejected into the ether. We're going to call it ether now.
Either.
Man, English.
Either.
English. What's going on, everybody? So, what do we get to talk about today? Of course, we get to talk about the Rocky and Alma and Red Hat's response, which, you know, that took place. We got a new kernel, 6.4. Interesting things in store for AMD. GoXLR's got a new update we even got to mention because I do a thing. I'll tell you about that a little bit later on. And a truck that is also a dot matrix printer, apparently.
Yeah.
So I was talking just a minute ago. Hello, Strider. Hello, Rohit.
Strider and Rohit. Yay.
The 4060 reviews are out. What do you think about the 4060?
It does perform well, but it's overpriced.
What's a 4050?
Yeah.
The 4060 Ti is a 4050 Ti. At $199, the prices got to fall down. I think I talked a little bit about this on Saturday. I don't think there's any situation where like 4060 would be a good buy right now.
Yeah.
Even if you were buying a low end. Now, I'm still a little shocked that, that Intel got rid of the 770 limited edition, but they didn't get rid of the limit, just their version of it. I don't know. I mean, it's a horrible value is what it is. And
yeah, it's only 8 gigs, right? Or do they have... Okay. See, that's too weak. It's like... I mean, come on. At least AMD, is much better with the memory thing.
Well, AMD's low-end card had 8 gigs. Their most recent one.
Yeah, that's true. But they were the first to have 16 gigs and higher.
On their mid-range?
I mean, I have a RX 6800, and that's 16 gigs.
Or we can just buy an NVIDIA Quadro with
yeah.
48 gigs.
Yeah, Strider. Yeah. No, actually,
Strider.
I've been buying
Matthew
GPUs lately.
Earlier this morning, you were upset because I wasn't buying a GPU, so you need to pick a hill. You can't do both hills, okay? Okay, you were upset that I hadn't bought an Intel GPU. Now you're upset that I'm thinking about buying GPUs? Pick a hill, man. You can't do both sides. It doesn't work. I can't play the game with you if you're on both sides of it. I'm like, what's the point? There's no fun in that. All right. So we got about 7 minutes before we're going to get going. We're going to do a nice tight show today.
Okay, I will go. Be right back.
I got all the things lined up. Man, you're always upset. I hope you find peace one day, Strider. I really do. Yeah, I'm going to be talking about an interesting little thing right at the beginning of the show. Something that we talked about in the after shows and on Linux Gamecast. If you don't know, we do the after shows and we invite everybody in from Chat Realm, you guys, to pop in. And then we do the after shows. And like after we go offline on Twitch, we're still live in Discord. We were looking for PC cases and I found one. And I found one. I'm glad you're watching Twitch ads. Everyone talk about Steve. I guess I should talk about Steve then. See, this is one of the things. Yesterday in Discord, I posted, there's a new, it's Hasbro, Jurassic Park set, like play set, right? With like the T-Rex, it's even got the goats and the fences and the, not velociraptors, but raptors-ish type things. I'm like, oh, that looks pretty cool. And then Steve's like, yeah, I painted that. Steve, you're really slipping on providing us confidential information from your job, man. Like, or whoever, toy company. How about that? You feel better? Oh, man. Hello, Arthur. So, the only thing I was disappointed in with that playset, let me see if I can find it real quick. Let's see, news. Did it make the news? Yeah, the crowdfunding, Mattel. All right, Mattel. See, I know that because I went to the thing. First, the pre-order creations.mattel. Well, Steve, we won't narc on you, bro. Come on. Yeah, this thing. Like it's got a little Rexy boy. We got the Jurassic Park. we got the goat. All goat, all the time. Look at the goat. Look at the fine... Man, okay, so when did the Jurassic World or whatever come out? Like having a screen in a vehicle was radical and novel at the time. Oh, they even did the back seats. All right, a little bit of attention to detail. The kids got real hanging action. $250. 13% funded. So, Mattel, what are they doing? They're gauging interest. You're doing free market studies for them where they don't have to pay. You pay. And then they decide if they're going to do a run. The Gate playset, is that different? The Gate crowdfund? I don't know, man. You got to remember, we don't work there. We don't know what these things are called. This is the Jurassic Park thingy. Well, you see this a lot of times when you see larger companies. If you ever see larger companies on Indiegogo and you see larger companies on Kickstarter, and you're like, you guys can just make this. You don't need to. That's what they're doing. They're doing market research. You know, they're like, how many of these should we make? And then other times we've clearly seen these companies, like we've already got these things in the box ready to go. Like, how many should we ship stateside? Jurassic Park. When did Jurassic Park get bad? I don't even remember what the second Jurassic Park. Did the second Jurassic Park had the? Did it have the T-Rex like in the city? Or a swimming pool or something like that? Didn't they try to take it out on a boat? Vaguely remember that. I think that was the last one I saw. No, I watched the one with Chris Pratt. Is it Chris Pratt? I don't remember. The one with the hilarious ending when they're driving away from the island. Or floating away from the island. That was pretty interesting. All right. So what do we have? there. Lost World. Okay. I'm still trying to figure out what are my thoughts on the phony SPS. I don't know what to think about that. It's like one of those things like maybe that's cool, maybe it's not. It's got a physical keyboard, which I'm like, hey, that's one way to have a Windows gaming handheld. Because trying to operate Windows with a touchscreen, ooh, it's not a good experience. And we put a full physical keyboard there. The 7840U? I don't know. 6-inch screen. Everyone says it looks like a PlayStation Portable. Which I had to Google what a PlayStation Portable. I could see the resemblance. I don't know. What do you do right now? You probably just wait for the next Steam Deck, right?
Yeah.
Seen a lot of tech reviewers in places like that. Yes, Joe?
I was going to say hello to Steve Husband. He made it. He had a meeting this morning.
The tech reviewers were talking about, what was the last one that came out? Was it Asus?
Yeah.
The last one.
Their Asus RE or R, I forget the name of it.
Something.
Yeah.
And a lot of the tech tubers, which I've even seen streamers talk about it. What's his name? Jeff Gerling? Not Jeff Gerling. The guy who used to own he was a big game reviewer and he does Twitch streams now. His name is Jeff something, I think. But he bought one and he's returning it. He was like, I don't have time to mess around with all these things and do all these updates and all this. He's like, and this is what he said. He's not like a Linux person. He's like, yeah, you just use the Steam Deck because it just works.
Yeah, it works. Yeah.
Like, oh, the tables have turned.
Uh-huh. Yes, they have. Aw. Hi, Artherin. Hi, Sipes. Hi, Alex. Yeah, that's our little Tabanese kitty.
Looks delicious.
She's beautiful.
Is it Jeff Gertzman? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Yes, it is Jeff Gertzman.
No, the Rogue Asus Rogue Alley. That was it. It's like it was a name I could never remember. It was an odd name.
He was talking about it on a stream yesterday. He finally got one, and it's like the $700 one. It's like, I'm just going to send it back. He's going to take it back. I think he bought it at a store somewhere.
Yeah.
But I'm glad everybody's like real happy with their Steam Decks. I've just never been into like mobile portable gaming, but hey, competition's good. Valve release SteamOS.
Mm-hmm.
So we can start putting this on different devices, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It may be that they're waiting to put it on some more devices themselves before they release it. That could be their strategy.
It's win-win for Valve though, because what has Valve sold you? They've sold you a portable Steam store.
Mm-hmm.
So you can buy stuff on the Steam store no matter where you're at. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we got everything together. The bot's doing its thing. It's out. Is there anything I'm missing? I think things are lined up. I want you to give me a clap test like right at the beginning of the show.
Okay.
Just to like super sync. Because it's real. I'm being irresponsible and running DaVinci beta.
Oh, okay.
So one of the things that I've noticed is usually like if I do a time shift on the audio track, it'll give me the difference in milliseconds. It'll have a little float window above that. So it makes it real easy to like, oh, okay, so that's 24 milliseconds out. I'm like, done. Plug that into an async video filter and we're good. That's gone now. It's not gone. It's just not showing up. They're having some issues. I like some of the pop-up stuff. So easy way to do it. Hey, Jill, clap.
Yay. Sounds good to me.
Oh, let's get Do I have that? How do I want to do that? No, we're good. And fair warning, we're going to be using last week's credits. Not that anybody would notice, but somebody's going to forget between now and then. So I want everybody to raise a stink when they're like, wrong episode number. Like it says 380. I'm done. It's over. Cool. Let's hit stop. Outro. Back down. Look at that loop. Oh man, I got so upset, Jill. I did. Somebody is, here's what really winds me up is when somebody takes a YouTube music, you know, because they have the YouTube audio library, right?
Yeah.
And they claim it for themselves. Then they try to copyright strike people.
Yeah.
And they don't copyright strike people, but they put a claim on it to try to collect revenue.
Yeah.
I haven't any of that.
And they did that with the other LWDW music? Is that what happened?
No. This was on Linux Gamecast Uncut episode 200.
Oh, okay.
How many years ago were the 200s?
Yeah.
6-7 years ago.
That's something different. Okay.
So me not having it involved me finding that song, which took probably close to 2 hours of digging around before I found it.
Mm-hmm.
I found it, and we're fighting it. We're not having it. For everybody out there, not just for us.
Yeah.
That level of skeezy, man. That was
worth okay. Yeah, that's different than them changing the licensing like they did with the original.
Yeah. This is just some derp that was, which makes it really interesting because 2 guys recently went to jail for this. So, you want to be brave and live like that? Go for it. And I do, but one of these days, somebody's going to fight me on it, and we get to go to court. It's going to be awesome. It'll make for great content. You ready, Joe?
Yes, I am.
All right, give me a clap. All right, close enough.
Okay.
At least you didn't miss.
Yeah. I don't think I've never missed a clap.
You don't want to miss a clap. You'll never live it down. Let me get the social media things off the main screen. There we go. Cool, everybody. Let's go ahead and do a show.
Yeah.
Do we have a little bit of jerk? No, that's fine. I don't know. In 3, 2. Hey, everyone. Welcome back to Linux Weekly, daily Wednesdays, where we sit back, relax, take that midweek break, talk about some of the fun things going on in the world of Linux and open source. I'm Vince Stone, joined every week by Joe Bryant and everybody watching us live on Twitch. How's it going? It's the middle of the week. Couple of days left. We're halfway through it. Not too much crazy left to hit us. But we got some crazy to talk about. We got the end results of some crazy to talk about.
Yeah.
But first, I want to share a little bit of a story.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
We do a after shows on Saturday night. We do Linux Gamecast Weekly. We've been doing it for a decade. And we do after shows because I always thought it's good to bring the community in. So if you're, Twitch sub or a patron, you can come on the show, live stream, hang out. But then we do like the after shows. And when we close down the Twitch stream, we still hang out in Discord because we're talking. We're having a good time. We were looking for PC cases. We were digging around. I was anyway. So, as soon as you start doing, everybody else starts doing something. And like a cheap one, like super cheap. Crazy cheap. It was a cardboard pizza box. If you haven't built a pizza box PC, you live a better life because I've done that. I've used cardboard. I've used milk crates, just whatever.
I've used wood.
Would it work? Would it work? I'm not quite that fancy. Just a little test bench something because I have that, the original Jackbox motherboard with the PCI, not PCI Express, but PCI slot on it. And there's still a couple of PCI audio cards, especially it's like from Echo that I want to test at some point, just for interfacing Linux. Like, what do I do with that board? And I want the most basic case. Where did we end up? test bench because we started looking for like little, and it's a full size ATX board too that kind of threw. And I was like, I don't want a case that's going to slice my wrist in two and all that.
Yeah.
So instead of doing that, we started looking at test bench. And Jill, you have a test bench for everyone to see, don't you?
Yeah, I sure do.
Jill has one of the ones that we looked at.
Yeah, this is an open air micro ATX and mini ITX test bench. And I liked it because it was simple. I have a nicer quality one that has a power supply holder and everything. Mm-hmm. But this one is nice for
it works.
Just quick builds, and it works.
There's nothing wrong with those at all. They're about like $20, right?
Yeah, $23. Very precise.
$23. See, I'm not going to be bothered with such cheap peasantry. No. I found one that's $24, Jill.
Yes, you did.
Look at this nonsense.
That's great.
Yeah, we just found this on Amazon, so I'm going to go ahead and pick one of these up because look at this. It comes. Come on, Amazon, quit doing this. It comes with a power cable. That's what sold us Saturday when we were talking about that. I'm like,
has the power cable,
the power button, so I don't have to,
nice.
Stick a screwdriver in there.
Light it up
every single day. So I'm going to go ahead and pick that up. We'll do a live stream build of that just to see how a $24 test bench works. Worst case scenario, it'll be a funny video. Best case scenario, I'll have something to put that motherboard in.
Yeah.
To test those cards.
Well, that'll be awesome. I'll pick up one too, and we can compare notes.
It'll be.
Now, for me personally, I like to build horizontally, not vertically. And that's one of the reasons why I usually use the test benches that are laid down vertically.
So personally, I like to build inversely, upside down. I really feel that, fits me as a person.
But that's perfect, Vin, because that is closer to, the verticality of a case. So, which is what you want.
Well, I mean, it's flat. It doesn't stand on its side. It's just a flat test bench with a back on it.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's $24. It's got a power cord. It's probably, I'm sure the manufacturing tolerances are going to be a lot out of whack. So I'm going to have to force the standoffs in there. But I'll get that and like a stick of RAM. We were joking about putting, because it's at, I think I can use the Ryzen 1700 that I got. Mm-hmm. That was originally in Jackbox because it originally worked with that board. All we need, which is a 65 watt TDP chip. But it would be fun to put in there because it's got a spot for power supply. It's like a 1700 watt power supply. Just to make
you go.
Just to make the internet mad at me. Just play it off and like, we bought this just for this build to make sure it has enough power with one stick of RAM in it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about something we mentioned last week because it happened like that morning, right?
Yeah, it sure did. And so we were just trying to digest it all. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What went down is Red Hat altered the deal just a little bit. And they're like, hey, you got a system there. Let's just throw a wrench into it. And what do we mean by that? Basically, Red Hat, not basically, very really, is Red Hat's only going to be releasing the source code for RHEL RPMs behind their customer portal. They're going to change that. A lot of people learned last week that the GPL allows for that. Like, wait a minute, that's illegal. I'm like, not really. That's not in the spirit of the GPL. I'm like, I would agree with that. And, with the CentOS switch, we saw new things show up. We had Rocky, which is going to maintain that tradition. And we had Alma. Jordan pronounced it like some stranger way than that, too.
The developers do pronounce it Alma.
It wasn't Alma or Alma. Jordan, you got a better pronunciation of it. I was like, what are you talking? I was like, oh, that's what you're trying to say. But maybe I'm always on that, because anytime you have like a weird project name and you go and ask the developer, you're like, so how do you pronounce it? I'm like, I don't care. However you want. Like, exactly. So we got a response from the team over at Rocky. Like, what's going on? What's their path forward? And, Rocky, they're really confident that they're going to be able to continue providing like the bug for bug compatible bits for Red Hat Enterprise Linux RHEL, despite the changes in accessibility. They say that they've come up with a way that's going to abide by the licensing agreement, but it's also going to be a lot of manual work on their end. And then I went and checked Alma, right? Alma Linux. And they go through the same thing. Like, hey, things have changed. What are we going to do? Well, we plan to move forward. We don't really have a roadmap in place, finding exactly what we need to get done. But that's kind of where we're at right now. Like, we plan on working through this, both Rocky and Alma. Jill, you got some thoughts on this moving forward, though, right?
Yeah, I absolutely do. When after it was announced Wednesday, and I was kind of doing the research and doing a lot of reading on it, I actually realized something, that SUSE does subscriptions behind a customer portal too, and Ubuntu Pro sources are not available to non-pro customers. So in one way, Red Hat is just playing catch up. Honestly. So I was, just, realizing that they have to put food on the table for their families as well, and this does help them a lot. Yeah, even though it's going to affect, Alma and Rocky, it's understandable that they're doing this.
The counter argument to that is, like, there was a reason that CentOS and Lady, and then we saw Rocky and Alma have such a larger share of the market than, say, SUSE or Ubuntu Server, is because they weren't doing that. It's when people were like, hey, we like this system. Now, let me be very clear. Am I happy with this move? Nope. Not at all. I'm not. Do I get it? Also, I get it. I'm capable of having two opposing thoughts in my brain mates at one time. Yeah. I understand.
Yeah,
Will
I understand.
they find a way to work around it? Probably. And you're thinking about, like, the Red Hat developer subscription. Like, for individuals, Red Hat has come out because there was this blog written by Mike McGrath, and this is a lot of words saying, yeah, we're doing this. That's what this blog says, is a lot of words saying, this is a brave new world. Deal with it, politely. And, okay, I'm not tied into the Red Hat ecosystem. I've been offered on multiple occasions by multiple Red Hat employees, like, hey, do you want a RHEL license, to, like, enterprise license to go play around with? And I'm like, even for the studio stuff. To answer your question, Joe, I saw that go by in the chat just a minute ago. I'm like, yeah, because what was I doing? I was putting, this is back when CentOS was, before CentOS streams. I was on there, and I'm like, I don't really want to get tied into that ecosystem. Maybe some other people now are going to go, maybe I don't want to get tied into that ecosystem. Or like, maybe I shouldn't have gotten tied into that ecosystem. And where do you go from this? Where do I want to see things happen? I want the Debian project to do a lot of work, because some Yahoo named Vince Stone on the internet's like, please do this. How about a Debian LTS?
Yeah, there you go. Well, it is LTS, really.
I mean, just by the sake of how long they take until the next version.
Yeah.
But, like, really, where do you go with this? Like, if you're doing Cent, you move it over to Rocky, you move it over to Alma, you're just kind of in a holding pattern right now. Like, but with Rocky, you should be good because they're able to get the updates pushed out right now, but still kind of shaky. And what this is not going to do, this is not going to get individuals to transfer over to Red Hat Enterprise Linux and personal subscriptions and all that. That's not going to happen. But I don't think IBM or Red Hat believe that's going to be the case. The ultimate goal here, I don't know. I don't see how this. That's my question. I'd love to get answered better. Where in the business model does this make money for Red Hat? Because the jumping ship are going to the official version. People traditionally running CentOS, or organizations, I should say, running CentOS, at least in my experience. And I know that from, EDU. I look at, like, the budgets they have. Dr. John's explained this to me, and he's like, we don't have the budget. We can't afford RHEL. He's like, this is why he runs Sun. He still doesn't have the budget to run RHEL. So he's got to find something out. It's not like he's been holding back the money. He's like, I don't have the budget. They don't give me enough money to do this. He's like, I can buy, 12 Windows licenses for whatever. And so, let's just all install Arch and live a wild and wacky life.
Yeah. Gosh, once upon a time, I used to deploy a lot of Red Hat licenses on animation systems at our community college. So I was very involved with Red Hat at that time, and I'm glad I don't have to deal with this current change now. But it's okay. The open source community is very active, and the Penguins keep marching on, and things will all come together.
It'll work out. That's a beautiful thing about Linux is my only takeaway from it is I don't think this is going to work out the way. Now, see, this is why I brought up Oracle last week, because that's the only play where I could see people built into Oracle. They're like, oh, we got to do something, and we've been paying Oracle. Now we might want to have to look at moving, because never underestimate the power of an Oracle sales weasel that will get you tied into a full Oracle stack. But then again, who knows? Who knows? It's going to work out in the end. Such is the power of open source. Yeah. Speaking of open source.
Yeah. Linus Torvalds just announced the release of Linux kernel 6.4 on Sunday. Sunday is the day that he does his kernel announcements. And there are lots of updates and hardware enhancements for AMD and Intel CPUs, GPUs, and ARM SoCs in this latest Linux kernel 6.4 release. There's initial support for Apple M2 SoC, which is used in the current MacBook Air, MacBook Pro, and Mac Mini systems. This still is experimental, but the fact that it's now in the kernel is very, very cool. And they've really cleaned up a lot of the work on Apple M1 as well. And there's also Wi-Fi support now for Apple M1 Pro and Max devices, which is really awesome to have that in the kernel. And one of the big things me and Ven were talking about early is AMD's P-State driver extension has guided autonomous mode and has been submitted to the Linux 6.4 kernel, which will actually improve performance and power efficiency for AMD Ryzen and EPYC servers. So that's a good all-around.
Latest gen versions. Let's be very clear on that. So if you're running like some antique Threadripper like I am, no, you're not going to see the benefits from it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So that's great, man. Your cores can power down at the wrong times even faster.
Yes. And there's something else I was really excited about, Ven, in this release. There's a new power features for the Steam Deck via the updated AMD GPU kernel driver. Woohoo! And there's new Wi-Fi drivers for lots of Realtek devices, some of them of which you may have in your computers. And I had a few of these version numbers in my computers as well, including the RTL 8710BU. And it's nice to get more support on the Realtek side, because it used to always be hit and miss with their Wi-Fi drivers. And there's support also for the Logitech G935 wireless 7.1 surround sound gaming headphones, which I actually use and love. I love those headphones. So I'm really happy to get support for the 7.1, because up until now you could get 3.1, not 7.1. And there's also Rumble support for the latest Xbox controllers. There's support for the Lenovo YogaBook X90F 2-in-1 tablet, and new drivers for the ROG Strix Z390F gaming motherboard. I have that motherboard, so I was really happy about that too as well. And, check out the show notes for all the info. There's so many new hardware, so much more hardware support and advancement in this kernel. It was really exciting.
I think one of the big things in this release, we're going to be able to take advantage of, a lot of people in our audience, is the power work that's been gone into the Van Gogh APUs. That's going to be in your Steam Deck, Steam OS. What's that going to do? Oh, I don't know. It's going to do magical things. Maybe not quite magical, but it will be able to intelligently manage thermals on your APU.
Yeah. Maybe we'll get more than 2 hours of battery life when playing a game.
Come on, man. See, I play on my TurboGrafx 16 emulator on the Steam Deck and pretend it was my TurboGrafx 16 portable.
Yeah.
So when it dies in 2 hours, I'm like, yeah, it's normal.
Yeah. No, but they've really come a long way. I've noticed, better battery life since I started using the Steam Deck when it came out. So it's every update, they keep improving it. And it's really an amazing device. It is. It's
always
one of my
good to
main
get something
computers.
that just gets better and better and better and better and better until the next thing. It's like buying an AMD GPU, right? It's going to get better and better and better.
Yes,
or an Intel
absolutely.
Now.
Intel Arc, you go.
I saw that Intel's throwing down. They added ray tracing support, and
for Blender, and
I saw that, and I'm like, oh, all right, fine. Let me click on this. Shroud posted it earlier today, and I did Control L, getting my disappointment organ ready to, and boom, and I was like, oh, they're making sure day one it's available for Linux and Windows.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, Intel. Where Intel does good job.
Yes.
Now, you might not know this, but I like audio interfaces that work on Linux.
Yay.
I'm a big fan of it. And the internet would have you believe audio doesn't work under Linux, but we know better. People who listen to the show know better because I won't shut up about it. That's why. One of the interfaces that I've been very interested in, because I'm also a huge fan of reverse engineering, right?
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of interfaces, audio interfaces, are just USB compliant. Ish. No, it's Linux. We just plug them in and they work. They don't have to do anything crazy. Every now and then we get something interesting like that Tascam 1608, which had a built-in mixer, digital mixer that we could access under Linux, and that's always fascinating. Then you run into things like, like special effects where you want to like load sound clips and stuff like those things. You just like, well, we know that's not going to work. We're not going to mess around with it until somebody gets one or the right people get something and they go, I'm going to make this work. Mm-hmm. And while I'm not terribly excited about the GoXLR, some people are. And it has become the new YouTuber special, I'm going to say.
It has, yeah.
That's what all the kids. And I mean, for our video viewers, maybe I can pull this thing up. There it is.
Uh-huh.
It's got 4 faders, I assume. They look like Behringer faders because it's got Midas preamps. I'm sure those are Behringer faders. And but it does like voice change. What does it do? Megaphone, robot. It's got the bleep button. It's got the swear button, right?
Yeah.
And it's got a couple effects, and I think it's got a clip launcher and some mutes. Well, none of that works out of the box under Linux because it's all proprietary stuff. So this is where the reverse engineering comes in. And there's a fantastic project that I've been following. I brought it up on the show a couple of times. The GoXLR on Linux, which they even have a utility. And there's a new version out, and I'm very excited to talk about it. Also, I'm not very excited at the $399. That's why we don't have one yet, man. That's too rich. But what's new in this? Couple of big things, man. Couple of big things. Now, let me be clear. The GoXLR app, this is a replacement not just for Linux, but Windows and Mac OS. They're doing the whole gamut. And it lets you configure this little TC Helion on Linux. And this latest release, we get that EQ fine-tune that's now up in the UI. UI has basic visualization of the device, which is interesting. Option to allow remote network access through the user interface, better sample handling, and this is the largest change to date, just period. The amount of stuff that they've thrown in. Now, they've done it for a reason, though, because they're getting ready for that big 1.0 release.
Nice.
It's where you're just going to dump everything out there, and this is a pre-release, so you might see some bugs. You might see some bugs, Jill.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, I thought it was cool that they added an option to allow remote network access to the daemon via system settings. That's huge.
Mm.
Yeah, network access is always a good thing.
And it's got RGBs
SSH in it?
You can make it blink, and you can get angry at it.
Yeah.
It's just like it's $400, and I can't.
Oh, it is. Yeah.
If I was going to use it, I mean, $400 is like, let's do a video on it, and I'll show you how to get it set up. GoXLR, if you're listening, send me one, and I'll do that. Jill, you noticed something in the Changelog.
Yes, I did. So they thanked Linux Gamecast. They gave us a shout out and thank you, devs. Well, they're happy that there's a thumbnail. You brought it to their attention that they needed a thumbnail for their application.
Here's what I say. So as is tradition with so many projects, there's no screenshots.
Yeah,
is what my quote was right here. So yeah, on March 2023. So you have one now. Thank you very much. And this winds me up. I do this on this show, and I do it on Wednesdays. Not to be mean, but as a reminder, especially if you have a GUI application like this one.
Yeah.
People are like, okay, maybe I want to set this up. Maybe I want to play with it. What people don't want to do is head over. Look at this. I got to show off the screenshots. I mean, yep. There it is. Look at it. You got your little consoles, your voice chats, your outputs. I want to play with one. If I find one used, I'll pick one up and so we can have some fun with it. Get a swear button, which is easy enough to set up. Huge fan of it. But back to that, if you have a GUI, you're working on a GUI application, put some screenshots on your GitHub page.
Yeah.
Or your, whatever you're using to host your code, because that's what people want to be able to see something before they download it and build it and install it. Hey, what's this thing look like? And I knew this thing looked good because guess what? I downloaded it, compiled it, and installed it, which I didn't have. I just want to see what the GUI looked like. And
that's nice.
Huge fan of what they're doing. Reverse engineering makes me happy. This is why to this day, all the stuff with the Motu series, the Motu 828, 896, I think, and the Motu Traveler series that have all of the DSP and stuff built into it, is because when the Firewire, the Fado project, asked Motu, goes, okay, can you let's take a look and see how we control this. Like, get away from us, you smelly Linux nerds, which is almost word for word what they were told. So they reverse engineered their entire product stack. Yeah. So to this day in 2023, you get one of these Moto devices, and Moto's like, well, sorry, Windows 11 looks like you're going to have to buy a new Moto device because we're just not going to support that. I'm like, okay, it still works under Linux. That's cool.
Yay. Yeah.
So that is the longevity of this, because at some point, GoXLR, TC Alien, they're not going to support these, and there's going to be a version of Windows that's not going to support these down the road. It's hard to think 20 years down the road sometimes, but it's going to happen. With this, you're still going to be able to use it on whatever operating system you got floating around,
This is awesome.
That's why
actually they're ready to go now if they want to make a flat pack or a snap of the drivers. Yeah. Because they have their screenshot and they can make a thumbnail of it.
Hopefully these are very wise developers that are not lazy and understand the restrictions and limitations of snaps and flatpaks. And they're like, hey, containerization for a desktop application that controls hard, that would be dumb. Which I'll go, correct.
Oh, yeah. Audio drivers as well.
You're not, I'm sorry. You're just never going to convince me about containerization for desktop for end users. That it's not for end users. That's one of the big problems.
Yeah.
All right. Jill's going to tell you about a dot matrix truck. But before we do that, I've been doing a little bit of work on the website. I fixed up a couple things. I kind of went back to a monolithic because I got tired of trying to get with some of our menuing systems. So you'll notice if we go to linuxgamecast.com, if you go to podcast now, we just get everything on one page. This is right there. So we got this show.
Very
and
nice.
We got this show. Easy to index. And guess what? Shameless plug segment. I tricked you. You were watching the other thing. Our support page is kind of like it used to be. I've just organized everything so you didn't have to fight the menu on mobile, which guess what? I might have been fighting the menu on mobile the other day. And I'm like, I'm done fighting with you.
Aw.
So we got
awesome,
our little
then.
blurb. We got it set up for recurring. And I also remember that we had LibrePay. By the way, we have LibrePay. If you want to use that as an option, Patreon, of course, bunch of rewards on there. Go check that out. PayPal one time. We got one-time donations recurring. We got all of our Amazon wish lists. Jill's, Pedro's, Jordan's. We got one for the studio. And, with a warning that we will absolutely read the little note that you send us.
Yes.
Amazon storefront. So if you're looking for an item, I see somebody forgot to take his test link out. Poop. hope I couldn't. Last night I was playing around with this with a,
Oh.
and I couldn't get it to. It was doing like a weird highlighting thing because WordPress Gutenberg is made out of pure evil and speaking of things that are not user friendly. I got to remove that. So feel free to click on that. That's just going to take you to a merch store. But if you don't know about their itemized lists, and like I always say, buy this stuff anywhere. If you're just curious about what's going on, like with equipment, there's those lights that we just bought, drives, and I use this all the time because I was like, hey, you know what? I need another drive. Oh man, here's a deal for everybody. These silicon power drives.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I almost bought one of these the other day because guess what? You can get a 2 terabyte silicon power drive for, Jill.
Oh God, under $20. $16.97.
Nope.
No. That's a 256 gig one.
2 terabyte.
Okay.
So how much could you get? 8 of those for?
Yeah. I don't know.
We're playing a guessing game. Feel free to go through
$150.
$150. Let's see. How much? Survey says $65.
Ah, pretty good.
For a 2 terabyte drive.
That is good.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, that is a very good price. I'm used to buying Samsung or, name brand ones.
I have Samsung 2 terabyte drives, 1 terabyte drives, 500, 256, you name it. I run these guys, these silicon power drives. I just bought them because they were like $14, right?
Yeah, they're cheap.
And I put them in all these machines. I'm just running them. I haven't had a problem. No, I'm not hammering on them. Let's be clear about that. But I've not had any performances. I just wanted to. There's your free plug. Go buy them on Newegg. I'm not telling you to go buy them on your store or anything.
Yeah.
Unless you want to, that'd be awesome. Back to plugging our things. You can click our hoop button, or you can go to our merch store if you want to put some Linux Gamecast all over your face, chest, and neck. We got stickers and all that, and of course, humble affiliate. And as always, if you are a Twitch sub or a patron, link your Discord. If you're on Discord and you do the Discord thing, we also get IRC, by the way. And that's always live. And it's bridged together, but we hang out in our Discord if you want to come play Trackmania and all the other things. It's there. We appreciate your support. And always, we release everything for free. Oh, yay. There we go. Shameless self-promotion. We appreciate each and every one of you making this happen.
We have to thank Mir in chat because he resubbed on Twitch for 44 months. He was one of our first subscribers when we went to Twitch. Thank you, Mir.
Yeah, Mir resubbed last night on Trackmania because he didn't want anybody to see it.
Yeah.
Because we don't have any notifications because we're racing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I noticed it today. So there we go. Let's talk about the Matrix.
Oh, that's cool. That's a Matrix cake. It's a black cake with the Matrix code on the side of it.
Do you think that's a cake you're eating?
And it says, there is no cake. Okay, maybe it's a pie. I don't know. So anyways, you have seen planes writing giant messages in the sky? How about instead of skywriting, road writing? Not road rage writing, but just road writing.
Ah, vandalism.
Well, a developer named Ryder Damon has somehow managed to create a giant dot matrix printer on land using his truck and a Raspberry Pi. The printing process is so cool. It works by dropping splotches of water onto the road while the truck is driven. The water is dropped carefully to shape letters and form custom messages. And Ryder uses a web interface in the cab of the truck, which controls a series of hoses and valves. And solenoids are used to release the water when directed by the Raspberry Pi. And the Raspberry Pi is responsible for running everything: the web interface, accepting user input for new messages, and sending the command to trigger the water-based printing system. To me, this is just such an awesome and unique project for sending fun messages to friends and families and for special events. And I was thinking maybe Ryder could do a more permanent print using paint instead of water on a road or long driveway as an art project. But it's a little harder to get permission to do that. I know, but that would be interesting. And But nonetheless, this project, a Raspberry Pi Trek dot matrix water printer is a first of its kind, and Ryder could make money from it. Just like people do skywriting in planes, making money doing messages in the skies.
Or maybe he just lives next to thirsty roads.
Yeah, there you go. But I think this was just so cool, how unique. And it does look very dot matrix because they're big dots of splotches of water on the ground.
World is a vampire. All right, look at that. I'll have links to the GitHub project because while Jill was talking to that, I had to go and jump through like 11 hoops. Hey man, maybe you're watching this later. If you're gonna put a link to your advice from Old Man Vin to your GitHub, do it in the video description, not on your YouTube about section. Yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm like, look, there it is. I just put it in the show notes. So that'll be on linuxgamecast.com. This reminds me of a very funny story from the late 90s, early 2000s is speaking of IBM, a whimsical IBM, because IBM was one of the early adopters of Linux. IBM used to have Linux commercials.
Yes, they sure did. They weren't the best. They weren't the best, but they had cool actors in them, and they were against the white
commercials
background
on television. It didn't matter.
Yeah,
they were Linux
just
commercials on television. You're like
the first ones. Yeah.
And IBM had a little bit of a campaign. I forget which city it was in, but they did they did like the little chalk penguins, little blue chalk IBM.
Oh yeah.
And they put them throughout the city, and you're like, oh, everybody's really cool, but the and it's not fun because it rains and chalk just disappears, But it's like a really cool Linux thing. The contractor that they used decided to use paint.
Oh, okay. So he got in trouble. Well, wait a minute.
Paint.
Yeah.
Tends to remain paint even after it
rains.
Remains
paint. Yeah. So it was permanent. I know they used to also do the peace, love, and Linux signs on buildings as well when they were doing, the IBM commercials. Those were so cool. I remember seeing them here in LA on a billboard. I was so happy. Wow. This was in the 90s. Late 90s, early 2000s. So cool. But making it paint is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, they got in a little bit of trouble over that.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Go look it up. I think I got the broad strokes of that correct. Internet being the internet. Okay. Feel free to leave a comment in the video description. It's like, well, actually, Vin. I'm like, I'm sure there's some actually's left wiggle room in there. So
absolutely,
feel free to save me a Google search. Thank you. I'll be happy to read it. If you got any comments, questions, thoughts, hints, allegations, or things better left unsaid, do that. Drop a link or a comment. Don't drop a link on the YouTube video because it just gets thrown into spam, and I read that every 3 months. I'm like, held for review. I'm like, oh yes, that's the section, and I got to go through that. We got to get out of here, everyone. It's great. Aww. Come check us out live. Roll the music and roll last week's credits because I had to fight a MIDI control surface before.
Issue. Poor Vin.
It's okay.
We have lots of credits.
We might. I don't know. Did the music start?
Not yet. And speaking then of real quickly about the GoXLR, that's really great for teaching, for having Linus from Linus Tech Tips use it correctly.
No, because it's on GitHub. Did you see what he did to a GitHub? He tried to save it as a web page.
But we're getting closer for him to be able to use it. And I'm wearing a Linus Tech Tip shirt. I just realized that.
That's where you're going with that. You're like, hey, I didn't mention that I had on a Linus Tech Tip shirt. Oh, man.
I forgot to say it during the segment. But thank you to all our wonderful patrons.
Sorry, everybody
to
who
our
came
Death
before.
Notes and Charlings, to our executive producers and advisors like
system. And remember, it's episode 381. So, we got to run, everybody. Thanks for showing up. We're going to hang out in the after show for a little bit. And remember, Jill has a Linus Tech Tip shirt. Do you want to show it off? I wouldn't have no idea. What?
LTT. It says LTT, and it has all the components.
I have a
computer components.
Linus Tips poster.
Yeah. So. I actually have a wardrobe of Linus Tech Tips. I've bought the sweats, and they're really cool because they have all the pockets in them.
Bye, everyone. See you next week.
Bye, everyone. boy.
Okay, so where do I have that? 2 minutes 54.
Do.
And 0254. There we go. I gotta make a little correction there. Pre-show, after show. All right.
Cool. Was the 254? Was that blip? I heard a blip from your. I think it was your mic.
It wasn't a blip. It was this room settling.
Oh, okay.
My trick during the summertime is to cut the house AC on, and I cut the AC on in here, and I get it as cold as possible. I shut the door and I let it sit for about an hour before the show. That way, it gradually warms back up before it gets like crazy hot.
Yeah.
But I got wood. Everything's old in this house, man. Especially the wood floor, so it expands and contracts.
Yeah.
So you hear like a pop.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, we get that too.
It's living in old houses. You're like, it's a ghost. I'm like, no, not. Man, I'd pay extra for ghosts. You kidding me?
Yeah, we have settling all the time. Well, we have earthquakes here, so we constantly
it's California. So sometimes you get house, involuntary settling. Sometimes you get fast settling.
Yeah.
You downloaded Lutris? Yeah, you did. You downloaded Lutris, the Linus Tech Tip boys.
Yeah.
And like, hey, how come I can't? I double clicked on this and it didn't install. Oh yeah, Joe's back from. What were you doing? Oh, were you in wrestling? Joe. Or I think hockey was the last thing. No, hockey was the thing before that. I think it's hard to keep track. NHL, that was okay. Oh, you're back on NHL. Yeah, hockey's always interesting with do they still do like the puck overlay stuff? Like where you can keep track
puck overlay, yeah. Oh my god. Yeah.
Gotta get stuff done around the house. I don't know, you could always threaten to drive your wife's car again. Be like, hey. All right. So, I was telling Jill earlier, I ordered we're going to try it out, one of those Elgato, like low profile microphone arms.
Yeah. They look sweet. I mean, I love the design of them.
They're practical. It was like a refurb one. It was like $70. And I had a $50 Amazon gift card that I had no idea what to do with. So I was like, you know what? Fine. We'll get a video out of it. Even if I don't end up using it. Oh, we'll take a look. See what it's like. It'll be fun. So does everybody have their orders for their pre-orders for your 4060s in? Huh? Are you on the waiting list? Remember when we had to get on like waiting lists to get video cards? Remember that? Not so long ago time?
Oh, yeah.
I waited 2 years to get a 3060. For $400. I was in the Newegg lottery. Now we can just go out and buy video cards. Here's the joke, though. You don't want to buy any of them. I'm like, here. They're not that great.
Yeah, I mean, like your 2060 was 6 gigs and the 4060 is 8 gigs. It's like they should go up another 4 at least.
Yeah. Like I got my little 3060 12 gig.
Yeah, you have your 12 gig and then they have the 8 gig one.
Oh man. Yeah. My itch right now is not even video card. Me and Frank are itching to buy do the build for that Epic system. Get that out of the way. That's going to be a nightmare, a kaleidoscope of nightmares. Things you don't think about, like when you're dealing with legitimate server hardware. Mm-hmm. It's like everything has an alarm on it.
Oh yeah,
including all the fans. So we're gonna.
Oh, I know. I've had to disable a lot of those things.
What you got to do is it's like a 2-stage system with this, and this is going to be interesting because we got to make this thing quiet. Yeah. So we're going to be going into the IMEI and like setting that thing up. Which you log into remotely, the computer inside the computer.
Yeah.
And setting up all the values, and so that once we're in the BIOS, it won't trigger alarms. Once fans get to it's going to be a lot of educational. Like, basically, when you get done watching the setup video, your takeaway should be, I'm never doing that.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy talk, and you'll be right. I upgrade to 6900 to 70. Yeah, like, I don't even want, like, the only GPU I want, and I don't want it because of the speed. I just want it to, like, free up a slot. I want, like, a water-cooled 4080 or something, a water-cooled something that's thin. And it's not loud. Quadros are, yeah. I mean, I'd like a 770 to play with, but I wouldn't. It'd be like that GoXLR thing, you know? I'm like, what are we going to do? Like, do a couple things with it and put it back in a box? And that's a waste of money.
Yeah, Joe, I'll probably pick up a 7900 XTX when they become a little bit more performant on Linux. I know people have them and have had some issues, but it's getting better. And I love I've got a 6950 XT in this machine, and I love it. And then I have an RX 6600. I've got an RX 6800 XT as well. I got lots of AMD GPUs, but I also have I had picked up a 1660 Super that I put in my Portal machine, and it's great for 1080p gaming. It's a great card. But I want to pick up an Intel Arc too, like Ven.
I just want to find out what the real world, like, can we even get the thing working with DaVinci Resolve? How well does it work with Blender? What hoops we got to jump through? What's it really like in real games? Things like that. But maybe when they're like, if they were $100, you know, like $350, I'm like, that's too close to like
it's
buying
on the yeah. For me, it's like if it's under 300, then it's an easier grab, you know. But
like, I guess like $199 is my adult version of like 99 cents.
Oh, okay.
You know, when you're a kid.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yeah, it's like 99p. You're like, yoink, I'll just yoink it. It's like, oh, that's $5.
Yeah, mine is $2.99, I think.
What are you doing with all this stuff, Joe? Your house almost has better equipment than the studio.
Yeah.
10 gig unified aggregator, huh?
Oh yeah, the RX 580 is a great card. I've got 4 of them. I love RX. I actually have one in a machine over here that's great for 1080p and some 1440p gaming. It's still a great card, and the Radeon drivers keep getting better, you know, Mesa. So, yeah, they're really performant and really good cards, and now you can get them under $100, which is great. I actually picked up one from AliExpress just to have an extra one, and XFX, because I love the XFX 580s. Those are great cards.
Yeah, if you're into vintage gaming, like right now, if you want to get like 1080p gaming and below and stuff like that, you've already seen what we can get away with. You can get away with what's on the Steam Deck.
Yeah.
Like APUs are not bad. Like, save your money and get something with an APU on it and just ride it out. It's not going to be great. It's not going to be perfect. You're not going to be ecstatic with it, but you know what? It's going to be serviceable. You're going to be able to get something in and just save your money until you got enough to like get a used 3060 Ti. That's the budget card right now.
Yeah, they're only like $200, $230.
They're under $300,
like
yeah.
Yeah.
And they will still beat in more than one use case the 4060 Ti. They're faster, and they're across the board faster than a 4060. Oh, man. Why do people like running Nobra, Suzy? Why don't you just run Debian like a normal person?
Oh, he runs Pop! OS too. Hamir, you have Pop! OS as well.
That's just Debian with a body kit. Like an Ubuntu. Yeah. I don't know. Like, run whatever works for you. I think the only thing that like winds me up is like when somebody's like locked into a distribution and all they do is complain about it. I'm like, what? Why? Like,
I use everything, so it doesn't really matter to me. To me, it doesn't. It's just as long as I have my software I need. I don't care what distro it is.
yeah, just use like it boggles me. Like if you're gonna run the route of Pop! OS, or if you're going to be using Ubuntu or Mint or any Debian derivative, like at some point your journey will just lead you back to Debian. I'm just trying to save you some time here.
Yeah.
Trying to save you some time.
Yeah, I have the latest Debian installed in one of my rigs I've been using all the time because it's just nice to go back and visit the foundational OS Debian.
I recommend Arch for people new to Linux. I say that with all seriousness. At least with Arch, you will be going out of your way on more than one occasion. You're going to learn how to do some Google searches occasionally and look things up and have to do a little bit of like critical thinking. And the Arch has got a great wiki. You can learn to read and take different suggestions and maybe work something together. You know, it's not everything. That's why I'm against just giving somebody a Linux machine and like when they break it, are you going to be there for tech support?
Yeah.
And what about Gentoo? There's still some straight up old school serial killers running Gentoo.
Absolutely are.
Like you guys don't understand. I mean, when you need your operating system to be your hobby, man, that's hardcore. I like it. Yeah, Katana and Beastvic run the Gentoos. Go for it. Go for it.
Gosh, I haven't run it as a primary distro on a machine in a while, but I have, but years ago, many years ago. 2000s. Early 2000s. Because it was so stable. I remember I used it on my network.
Maybe I should clarify that. That's a good question, Joe. With Debian expects you to be able to do that yourself.
Yeah. You gotta update
Debian's
those
a base to
Mesa.
install what you need to install.
I actually do it on Ubuntu too. I just update my own Mesa drivers.
It's not the that's why you give me rolling my eyes. Like, oh, I don't use whatever because the NVIDIA drivers are out of date. I'm like, just install the NVIDIA drivers.
Yeah.
Then you get the blank stare of like, what do you mean? They're in the store and I clicked on them and I'm like, no, you go to NVIDIA, you download the drivers and you drop the TTY.
Control F1 or F2 and off you go.
It's really easy. Nothing to it. And they're like, no, that's scary. I'm like, come on, man, let's do it. I'll help you out. That's how you install NVIDIA drivers, the one you want, any versions you want. And more importantly, the system doesn't upgrade them. Then that sounds bad. No, that's good, especially if you get applications that require a particular version of those drivers.
You can do it when you want or need to.
And, such is the reason you have LTS distributions and Debian being, very long between upgrades is you just get security updates. So you can build a platform on top of Debian, much like you can with Ubuntu LTS, and not worry about bits shifting under you and breaking your applications like driver updates. Man. Containers. Like, why do you have Gentoo in a container? What I'm not consciously judging you, but subconsciously I'm judging you for that. I feel it. It's back there somewhere.
That's what I was trying to remember the last time I used Gentoo. It wasn't that long ago. I did, a couple of years ago, I did an install. I did a droplet on DigitalOcean, a Gentoo instance to do a lamp install. Yeah.
So you've installed Gentoo just to run git clone?
Yeah.
Bold choice, Cotton.
Get it.
I'm trying to figure out, I got like choice paralysis. I'm finishing up a public version. I made one for patrons a while back. Like, putting together a podcast under Reaper. And I've refined it a lot since then because I want to make it as simply complex as possible. But once I get that knocked out, I got to figure out a time to do it though, like a live Debian 12 install. But I want to tie everything together because I want to do the live Debian 12 install, but I also want to do a Linux Debian workstation guide, how to set up an actual workstation, because there's nothing but misinformation on the internet.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's all it is. And I see it in forums all the time. And people, it's bad information built on top of other bad information, like how to do this. And I'm not saying my way's right, but I'm saying I can prove to you my way works.
Mm-hmm.
It's not guesswork. I can demonstrate.
Yeah, absolutely. It's running right now.
Right. It's not, well, I think. I'm not a fan of I think. I was like, get out of the conversation. Yeah, it's pretty rare. I mean, I compile what I need, even on Debian 12. What was I building last night? Stream Effects, I was building that last night. That's another thing. That's another reason I want to blow out, because there's a couple of applications that I want to do build guides on, and I need a base install of Debian to figure out what all the dependencies are going to be. So I can put that together. That'd be fun. We do that, and there's a piece of audio hardware that's not an audio interface, but it's audio related. I want to do a little video on for getting rid of hum, breaking ground loops and all that with transformers.
Oh, good. Yeah.
That we've been using. I've had it for months now. It's just sitting down and doing it. But if I don't have to compile something, I don't compile stuff just to compile stuff anymore. I compile the kernel for this box because here's the gripe I have with Debian. They don't have a low latency preempt kernel. They got regular, then they just got full RT.
Yeah.
Which Jillsbox, Jackbox, and all the other machines, they're running full on RT kernels, hard RT kernels, full preempt. Yeah. This box I can't do because the Blackmagic drivers, NVIDIA drivers work fine with RT. Yeah. If you know the correct moon glyphs to type in, you can get the driver to compile with an RT kernel. But the Blackmagic binary drivers, not having it. So I got to build a kernel for this machine. It's got its own, and it's not even custom. I mean, it's custom to the fact that I've download it, do it, tick, $1, then build a kernel, then poop out some Debian packages and install it. Yeah. Hey man, I don't judge your hobby. And if you want to run bleeding edge stuff, and you still want to play with Debian, if you want Arch level bleeding edge stuff, get Debian Unstable and install that. That would terrify me.
Yeah.
I would love to play with it, but it would terrify me to work with.
I would use it on your work. Yeah. I think I've played with it before, but I didn't use it for animation work or anything like that.
I'm looking at Joe's Unify switch. The 10 gig aggregatortron. How much RAM does it have? I can't find out. Or is Unify, or they're just like, our customers don't know what RAM is. They just want to put the LCD on front. 30 watt. It's 10 gig. It's not crazy priced for Unify. Is it Unify or Uni? Whatever.
Unify? Yeah,
Unify,
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's this little guy here.
Yeah.
When I try to mouse over it, it does that. So,
It has the little
I'm like, can I get the mouse over? And it's like, no, and it runs away from me. I'm like, that's not intuitive. Here, let's creep on this thing. Yay, it's got buttons on the front. Hi, I'm Ben. This is my home lab. What do you guys think? It's not plugged into anything, but it's my home lab. Yeah, I got it. I do stuff. At $269, again, that's not a bad price.
Yeah, that's a really good price.
I'm trying to figure out how much is, I mean, what am I doing right now? I'm trying to find out how much my 8-port 10 gig switch in the rack cost, because I don't remember. Honestly, it's about the same price. The slightly poorly named MikroTik CRS 309 1G8S Plus IN is like $260. So that's this little guy, this little fella.
Aww.
Hey, he's adorable. He's got a big heatsink in the back. It's got 2 of the largest heat pipes I've ever seen in my life. And it's got a heatsink hanging off the back that will cut you in half. But it does have 512 megs of RAM. Oh. And it can run at dual boots. Yeah, $269. It runs Router OS or Switch OS. This one runs Switch OS.
Yeah, Arthur says, yay, MikroTik. They make awesome devices.
MikroTik gets the job done. I mean, like, I didn't even know about the Unify thing. Like, that's not a bad price. When I saw that, I assumed it was going to be like $600 or $700 because that's kind of how they roll. But yeah, if you need an 8-port, this one's also got a serial port on it too. Old school serial port. Plug it in, and yeah, for like $200 if you need that level of 10 gig switching, which I'm only using 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 10. So I got
okay.
2 10 gig ports that are not in use. The router, well, I don't think this one's got enough storage on it to run Docker. However, the router board 4011 that sits above it, the router for their studio, yeah, it runs containers. You can just install a Pi-hole on the router itself, which I'm not brave enough to do. Not in here. I don't want to break anything in here. But, yeah.
Yeah, I've thought about getting a 10 gigabit switch too, but I haven't needed it because my router modem, I have the business model, and it has 6 ports on it, which has been fine for what I've needed it for.
Most people don't even utilize this is why I roll my eyes so hard at like the 2. Everyone's like, it's a 2.5 gig. I'm like, that is such a useless, because like most people don't even use gigabit.
Yeah,
I mean,
know.
They have it, but don't utilize it, right?
Utilize it, yeah.
And like 10 gig is such an obsolete speed. Like you're never going to go into any type of remote, like even 10 years ago, if you walked into a data center, you were not going to see 10 gig links anywhere. That maybe you would still run across some QSFP 40 gig links, but most, even 10 years ago, you were dealing with 100 gigabit.
Yeah, 100 gig, yeah. Oh, that's what I meant to say. I'm sorry, not 10, because Mir wrote 10. I meant 100. Mm-hmm. And they have, oh boy, the new one that has...
you'd probably want a 10 gig. I seriously doubt you'd be using a 100 gig switch.
Yeah, I probably would want a 10, not 100.
But it's always fun watching people trying to figure out, 850 nanometer multi-mode fiber versus single mode and all the other fun stuff that comes along with. I used to deal a lot with fiber optics. So it's a fun thing to play with. Cool. Are we done? Have we done our job? It's almost 4:30.
Yeah.
I'm not running out of steam, but I'm thinking about all right, I got to go edit this. And,
I was reading about the 500 gigabit modems. That's what it was. I was trying to remember. I just read an article recently. It's pretty amazing. Hey.
500 gigabit modems. You got to clarify that a little more.
Router. They were starting to use them in the animation industry. Because we were talking about was it the kernel 2 times ago has support for it now, the 500 standard? Yeah. That's why I read the article, because we talked about it. Our future data centers, 500 gigabit.
I don't know. I haven't ran across. I don't remember that. Hey, thanks for watching, everybody.
Yeah, thank you,
even
Rain,
at home,
for joining us.
Even at 10 gig, most people are going to realize you immediately run into write speeds, even on your NVMe's. When you're sending a gigabyte a second over the network, your bottleneck usually ends up being your drives. That's why 10 gig that's a good standard for home users right there. But running 10 gig over copper, that's it. Iffy. Doing it with enterprise equipment, doing it with Twin-X, direct attached copper, you're only going to get about 7 meters on that. And the idea that you're going to have a solid 10 gig connection over a Cat 11D or whatever it is right now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust it.
Fiber noodles for the win. Absolutely.
Fiber's great. It's a lot more resilient than you think it is. But again, if you don't know anything about it, and if you're running Windows, good luck.
Yeah.
You're better than me if you can get a Mellanox Connect X3 card up and running on a copy of Windows 10. I gave up. I was doing it just out of laziness, because I was doing it with a spare box because I needed Windows to do a firmware change in one of the audio interfaces to test something. So I got my little spare Windows box, and I needed to get online to update a thing. I probably spent 45 minutes trying to get that thing. What drivers do I install with this version? Is that supposed to work? And, it was so much interference and all of the replies of people who was well, I think, just muddying the results because somebody wanted to join in the conversation, didn't have any business being in it.
Yeah.
For their guesswork. And I just gave up and I enabled the Ethernet.
Yeah.
I just went and found the cable and plugged it in. I'm like, forget this. And again, if that's all I knew, I would have fought it out. But I've never seen a Linux box that detects it when it boots. Like, there's nothing. It's built into the kernel, man.
It's done. Yeah.
There's zero thought put behind it.
Yeah, Joe, it's a long, slow process installing Windows. My God. You know, it's like the last install I did on Windows, I'm like, yeah, I can literally install about 30 different distros of Linux in the time it takes to do this and do all the updates and everything on Windows.
So I'll give everybody a pro tip. I'll tell you how to install Windows in 10, 15 minutes. How do you do that, Joe?
Well, you can. Windows Server is actually pretty quick, and
no,
you could
desktop.
strip out all the crap. Well, you can strip out all the crap.
Nope. I'm talking about just a regular Windows 10 install. Personal use.
Oh, okay.
How do you do it in 10, 15 minutes, max?
Use the command line.
Nope. I'm taking guesses. Who's gonna get the answer up first? Pedro knew it. Pedro knew the trick because Pedro dealt with it enough times. I stumbled across the trick.
Oh, well, you can run it from a flash drive.
We have any thoughts? Oh.
Yeah, what was the question?
Maybe Joe's going to take a crack at it. How can you get Windows 10 to install Windows? And this works for any version of Windows 11 or anything like that. To cut the install time down to 10, 15 minutes total. This is related to what I was just talking about. So if you weren't paying attention, like, you should be able to put 2 and 13 together and be like, oh, that's probably how you stumbled across that then. I'm like, yeah.
Oh, yeah, but that's not... No. Yeah, disconnecting the internet. That's been a trick that all of us who had to, administrate Windows would do. But it doesn't always work in 10 and 15 minutes, even without the internet.
Joe has the correct answer. That's how you done it. And Pedro was like, yep, that's how you get it done. And that Pedro works with this stuff day in and day out professionally. Pedro was like, yep, that's the trick. And I'm like, oh. And again, I couldn't get the internet. I didn't want to go get the Ethernet cable. So while the Windows was installing, I just didn't have it plugged into anything. And I'm like, oh, this is going to take forever. And I come back. I was like, I'm done. I'm like, wait, what? Because I'd done a install.
I was thinking of a more complex
sometimes
solution,
the easiest solution is the best.
Yeah.
And
but I clocked in at 30 minutes even without the internet.
You get a faster computer than my Dell business machine.
Yeah.
That's 10 years old.
Yeah.
So
no, but on newer machines, I can see that would be about right.
Yeah, like 10-year-old machines. Good to go. Some HP, whatever it is.
But there is also another trick to just avoid using the GUI at all during the install. And that helps a lot.
Are you going to tell us about it?
Yeah, I know people who do it with the command line in Windows. My brother does that for people. Why are you looking at me crazy?
No, I'm like,
Windows administrators do it, so...
No, I'm like, do you know the method, something that people can search for the audience, so they can be like, hey, okay, we would like to know more about that.
Oh, I'm forgetting the name of the command line application in Windows, because I never use it. But there's a network install you can use.
I know nothing about Windows.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I mean, you can install it over Ethernet. That's it.
I don't even know what auto hotkey is. Sounds like it's full of macros.
Yeah, over Ethernet, like you do with Linux, you can install it over Ethernet. I've done it before, but it's been a long time.
Wait, just doing like a net install?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can deploy Windows like that if you got it set up in
It's really bad, yeah.
I don't think anybody like really sits and defends their operating system. Normal people don't.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but, you know, if your computer does what you want your computer to do, that's fine. You want to play around with Windows? That's cool. You want to play around with Haiku? You know what? We can still hang out. You run Linux? That's awesome. That's great. If you got to work with it, then you get to complain all you want. Because a lot of times Windows has been shoehorned as a solution for things that has no business doing.
PowerShell. That was the name of it. I couldn't remember. PowerShell. Now that's one way to install Windows, is just to use PowerShell. But the net install is the one that I used to have to do all the time with NT 4.0 and Windows 2K.
Yeah, if you can fight work and see if they'll let you do, if you want feed, or if you, I don't know, maybe negotiate down to, I don't know. See if you can get RHEL. See if you can get RHEL, worst case scenario, see if you can get Ubuntu.
Strider says, yeah, you guys. Yeah, not modern Windows I don't use much. It's all the same, though. It's like, once you go into one, you've used them all. So.
I'll argue that because I have no idea what I'm doing in Windows 10 and 11.
Oh,
all Windows and 10 and 11 does is
they just moved everything.
They just angry.
Yeah. Well, they just moved everything in the UI. Everything is the same.
I would classify that as being different than.
Yeah.
I would dare go out on a ledge and go, they've moved everything?
They moved a lot of the system settings, and yeah.
The last time I touched Windows, and this is not like an internet humble brag or anything, it's just a reality. I've been, for good or for ill, last time I played with Windows for any extent, as I had my CAD machine, my Eagle machine was running Windows NT4. And that was it. That was it. And so I was coming from like that, to Windows 10. No idea what I was.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I've complained about it on this. Like, how do you, if you listen to pre-shows, you can listen to me seriously asking Pedro questions of like, how do I do this? And like, followed by, that is dumb. Why is it being done like that?
No, I was playing a lot back with Windows 10, but with 11, I haven't so much. But it's still the same base. They just move things around. It's all based on NT, the NT kernel, so anything from NT4, you know, it's translatable. It's just they move things around. It's annoying.
Oh, you don't? Oh, you can't even do WSL yet. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cygwin, cool.
That's even worse to use knowing that WSL exists, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's bad to use when it was the only thing there, but...
No, I did install Windows actually 11 recently for a cousin, but I wouldn't run it myself.
I'd run it day in and day out if I had a reason to. I just don't have a reason to.
Mm-hmm. I used to always have to have a system with it on because I was constantly doing tech support for the instructors and administrators on campus who didn't know what the heck they were doing sometimes.
Beastwick, I hope it's like just you too. Mm-hmm. Like everybody else just gets, there's just like whatever, somebody got at Beastwick's work just has a vendetta against them. Like just you, man. All right. Everyone, it is 4:35, so it's even later than it was when I first said, all right.
I need time to go.
Have fun, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your week. Jordan will be back tomorrow with a little bit of something. I'm not sure. Check the schedule. Check the Jordan and see what he's coming up with. That'll be Thursday. Friday, we'll be back for Trackmania points matches. If you joined in, I've already swapped out some maps, so you might want to go take a look at them before Friday. So you're not going, I've never played this map before. It's unfair. And it's totally my fault that I didn't do it. All right, everyone. We'll see you next week. Have a great one.
Bye bye.